real quick, I just want to encourage you guys to please hit that red subscribe button. As you know, my videos are no longer being recommended. So if you're new here and you ever want to see this news again, please make sure you hit that red button. And please also make sure you have that little bell clicked for notifications. All right, back to the broadcast. Well, Pope Francis is at it again. This time, he's not only beckoning on the New World Order, but he's also starting to reveal some of the contents in the book of Revelation. In fact, he's making a lot of it come to pass. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the Pope's latest move to bring together both religious leaders as well as political leaders in order to come together and sign a global compact on, well, a new form of humanism. What is that compact about? Well, it's about the education of your children. And instead of parents being over their kids, he wants to recommend a village or village rearing of education. Take a look at this article on lifesitenews.com. Pope Francis invites religious political leaders to sign Global Pact for New Humanism. The article goes on, in a renewed and enthusiastic endorsement of globalism, Pope Francis has announced he is hosting an initiative for a global pact to create a new humanism. The global event, set to take place at the Vatican on May 14, 2020, is themed Reinventing the Global Education Alliance. According to the Vatican statement issued on Thursday, September 12th, the Pope is inviting representatives of the main religions, international organization, and various humanitarian institutions, as well as key figures from the world of politics, economics, and academia, and prominent athletes, scientists, and sociologists to sign a global pact on education so as to hand on to younger generations a united and fraternal common home. It goes on, quoting Hillary Clinton's favorite aphorism, "It takes a village to raise a child." Pope Francis asserted the need to create an educational village in which all people, according to their respective roles, share the task of forming a new network of open human relationships. As you can tell, the Pope plans on gathering religious, political, scientific, academic, and even sports-related personnel to come together to sign a global pact on education. Mind you, who is it that gave the Pope the authority to decide our education system here in the U.S.? Who is it that decides what people get to come in on this particular educational pact that you're having, Mr. Pope? You see, that's the kinds of things that we have to think of. No one gave him that authority. So nonetheless, I can only assume that he's beckoning on the New World Order. You see, right now, America decides what our education system is, and other countries decide what their education system is. We are headed straight into a new world order, and I'm not the only one who believes that. In fact, one of his bishops is calling him out. Take a look at this article on dailywire.com. Pope Francis invites political leader to sign global pact. Now, towards the end of the article, it says this: in what was seen as a veiled critique of the Pope's stance, Cardinal Raymond Burke later told Rome Life Forum that natural law permits patriotism in accord with the order written upon the human heart and does not make just and legitimate a single global government. Before the challenges of our time, he says, there are those who propose and work for a single government, that is, for the elimination of individual national governments so that all humanity would be under the control of a single political authority, said Burke. For those who are convinced that the only way to achieve the common good is the concentration of all government in a single authority, loyalty to one's homeland or patriotism has become an evil. He is 100% correct. This is exactly what the Pope is trying to do, bring us all under one global dictating authority. Something, by the way, that is spoken of in biblical prophecy. Maybe this is why Pope Francis hates nationalism. Take a look at this article on Fox News. Pope decries rise of nationalism, flaws of globalization. How do you beckon in a new world order? Well, you make nationalism and patriotism look bad. But you know what? This isn't the only time that Pope Francis has called for a global compact to be signed. In fact, in May, he called for a supranational body to govern the world. Take a look at this article on lifesitenews.com. Pope Francis calls for a new supranational authorities to enforce the United Nations goals. I think it's very clear what the Pope is saying here. He wants a body to rule over the entire world, and that body enforces rules and regulations of Agenda 2030, also known as Agenda 21. I mean, imagine the kind of rules they could come up with. Let's limit CO2. Let's put pollutants in our skies. Hey, let's teach our children about Agenda 21 and climate change in our education. And no one has a say who gets to be a part of that global dictating body. Hey, but the Pope does, right? We can trust the Pope because he's such a religious man. That was obviously very, very not the case. In my opinion, he is so far from it, especially when he's beckoning on the book of Revelation. Anyhow, I'd love to get your thoughts, comments, and concerns. Please subscribe to the channel. As you know, I am not getting recommended anywhere, so please make sure you hit that red button and subscribe. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.